My name is Dr. Sam Walters. I practice in Scottsdale, Arizona. Our clinic is called Wellspring Clinic, and we treat patients here from all over the world. We do a little bit of everything from what we call the gala aponeurotica to the distal phalanx, which is the top of your head to your toes. Now, we all are made up of genetics. You know, you get half your chromosomes from your mother and half your father. So when we're dealing with the genetic side of you, we can't change the genetics. In other words, I can't change the color of your eyes, but I can certainly change the expression of how the eyes work. They're called glasses. Well, the same thing with diet. You know, when we do DNA testing, we can pretty well see a lot of the things coming down the pike, such as heart disease, osteoporosis, emphysema. Many diseases have the biomarkers that identify their potential. And once we see that, then we can change your lifestyle, what you eat, what you drink. We know how most botanicals and herbs work. We studied this in school along with traditional medicine, and we know the effect they can have. The nice thing about working with natural, we don't really have the side effects. But it doesn't always mean that's the panacea for everything. Oftentimes we have to use a little drugstore medicine too. Medicine's not all bad. Medicine's wonderful. We have the best doctors in the world right here in America. But the one weakness in American medicine probably is the fact that doctors are taught crisis medicine, and they're not taught to really educate the patient, really get into their lifestyle and change it. Doctors are too busy today. And so that's what we like to do here and emphasize that, makes us a little bit different. We'll spend the time with the patient. I'll spend at least an hour with the patient the first visit, sometimes longer. I feel that first visit is the most important one. That's where if a doctor is really careful and he listens intently, he'll learn what the patient's real problems are. I look at patients as emotional, physical, spiritual. We're made up of many different components, and doctors today are too rushed. They only have time to walk in a room to say hello and maybe look in your throat, listen to your heart for 10 seconds, write your prescription, and holler next. And that's what's wrong with medicine today. That really isn't the doctor's fault. Most of that is just our culture. We're pretty much driven by the insurance companies dictating to doctors today. And the insurance companies don't want to pay anything, so it forces a doctor to have to see 60, 70 patients a day just to make an average living. That's probably the tragedy in medicine today. Doctors can't really do what they're trained to do. They can only do what the insurance companies approve. Therefore, they very seldom really get the in-depth interview, in-depth examination, a lab test they really need. Prevention is what I call baseline, and everybody should have a good baseline examination, and that would include an MRI, scan, ultrasounds. We can identify the plaque buildup in your body. Number one cause of death in America is cardiovascular, and cancer is right there next to it. Most of us die from outside in. We just kind of start corroding on the outside. This is why the liver goes to pot and the heart and everything else. So the patient eventually finds himself taking a whole sack full of medicines. And with the new procedures and techniques we have today, we can prevent that tremendous number of prescription drugs. The reason I like the mangosteen juice, as a physician, it is so broad in its coverage. It seems like just about every condition can benefit from it. We see it very effective on all the arthritic type conditions, from rheumatoid to osteoarthritis. It seems to really be effective in helping our patients with osteoporosis. It's been a very effective product in dealing with so many of our cardiovascular ailments. And you know, Lou Gehrig's disease, which is a disease that affects the nervous system, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's disease. These are extremely inflammatory diseases, and it's difficult to find medications that really address those and bring them under control. The nice thing about the mangosteen juice, it's very rich in xanthones, which are extremely anti-inflammatory. That's wonderful. You know, I can remember when I first started using the mangosteen juice myself and my family and recommend it for patients. Being somewhat of a skeptical individual, I was cautious about, you know, how much we took at first, even though the literature has verified its efficacy, its safety. We still, my family, we were kind of cautious, so we drank 1 or 2 ounces a day. Now I've come to the conclusion that 6 ounces a day seems to be the ideal amount for every adult. It seems to get you into the ballpark of what you need. Now we have some patients, for various reasons, we'll recommend a half a bottle or more a day to. It's an extremely inflammatory product. It's wonderful. And yet we have some patients, we might not recommend any more than 6 ounces, but that seems to get us all in the ballpark. Children, you know, we traditionally recommend a couple, 2 or 3 ounces a day, unless there's some reason to go up. But I've come to the conclusion that our original recommendation of 2 or 3 ounces a day wasn't quite enough. The difference oftentimes between feeling really good or having a positive effect is going to 6 ounces a day. So that'll certainly suffice for most people. As a physician, I'm always trying to complement like our prescriptions with natural things that balance it out. We still need to eat food, we still need to eat those things that contain all the natural ingredients. Unfortunately, there's not that much balance left in our food today. And the mangosteen juice seems to cover such a broad spectrum, such a broad field in just almost every element. So we recommend it in our clinic to just about everybody. There might be exception to the rule once in a while, but that's unusual in itself. As a physician, we want the best for our patients, like all physicians do. And we want to use products that have the least amount of side effects. And that's what's beautiful about natural products. And this is why we want parents to get really involved and start using natural products, teach their children to use natural products. It's part of the whole educational process. Prevention is so important, and we're not really taught to practice prevention in this country. Doctors in this country mostly practice crisis medicine. You wait till somebody's really sick or the disease has spread too far, and then we consider surgery and chemotherapy and everything else. So I've come to believe that everybody should have that mangosteen juice on their breakfast table every morning. That should be a part of your diet. You should start your day off with that. When you look at the way that it upregulates or modulates up the immune system, when you look at the research as to how it applies from in certain cancer research and so forth, we've seen these things happen, take place. We've seen it with our patients. Apoptosis is a natural life cycle that cells go through. In other words, every cell lives to be a certain age, and it's like a clock. If you look at it, the cell goes through a cycle of like 1 o'clock all the way around to midnight. And when it gets to certain places on that clock, down around 5 or 6 o'clock, you might say, the cell makes a decision as to whether to commit suicide or not. You want the cell to commit suicide. You want the cell to go through its natural life cycle. Then when it gets to be about midnight, you want the cell to die. That's natural. That's